welcome back to Dukascopy TV. I'm Natalie MacDonald. Joining me in the studio today from Banque PBS is Emmanuel Ferry. Emmanuel,
Hello.
Thank you very much for coming in today. Now, the recent IMF meetings have suggested a U-turn almost in a stance in austerity. What macroeconomic factors, if any, are supporting this new stance?
Actually, the IMF meeting was a major event. Why? Because it will alter the balance of power between creditors and debitors. In other words, it's a mea culpa for the IMF, and also the IMF urges its members to do so too. It's a warning against prematurely and aggressively fiscal tightening. It's necessary, but it must be calibrated on a country-by-country basis, and also the idea is to give more time. You have to keep in mind that when interest rates are close to zero, the activity is much more sensitive to the fiscal drag. That's why it's a major change, and and it will reshape also the policy response to the financial crisis. So at the end of the day, it's a rather good news, and it's also a trade-off between the economic cost and the political and social cost. And given social protest in the street, it's a positive factor because it will give some support to governments.
You mentioned political costs there, and in fact in the US, Romney critics are using Lagarde's comments regarding austerity and saying they should act as a wake-up call to the electorate that a candidate that stands for slashing spending and austerity is not the correct candidate within this economic environment. Are these comments fair, do you think, or is it simply just campaign fodder?
I would say it's probably different. Mitt Romney is a great believer of Reaganomics. What is it? It's all about cutting taxes, supporting activity with a fiscal package, and capping non-defense discretionary spending. So it's broadly speaking, it goes in the same direction, but the background is a little bit different.
So what are the investment implications then of this argument on either side of the pond?
I would say it's rather supportive for risky assets because today leading indicators are bottoming out, which is positive. At the micro level, the earnings season is not so bad in the US. The beat ratio is above 50% for EPS growth. Top line is affected by the global slowdown, but the broad message is positive. Valuation is fairly good. So, and when you have the liquidity factor is quite supportive. So, broadly speaking, we can expect a year-end rally for risky assets.
Now, we're used to seeing this correlation between what market officials say and market movements, and EU leaders' commitment to the all euro area banks last week did favour the euro. What are your projections here?
Well, it's a long shot. It's a long shot. It will take years, probably. Probably things will have to get worse before getting better in Europe. So, but probably the broad environment is much more supportive now. It's a matter of expectations, and today, thanks to the ECB, there is a safety net in Europe, and we need much more union, much more political stability, but it's a very long-term process, painful, but it goes in the right direction. So for the euro, I think today the currency is much more driven by flows. Rates are close to zero, so it's much more driven by the risk appetite and risk on, risk off. So I don't really think that the currency will be correlated with what's going on in the Eurozone today.
Emmanuel, thank you very much for coming in. Great comments.
Thank you.
That's all we've got time for right now, but stay tuned to Dukascopy TV.